welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated to CBS's Big Brother Season 22 All-Stars. Now, just like my previous videos, I'm not going to go into a full review and recap because everything that happened in this episode was pretty predictable, but I will touch on some key moments and key points and then go into live feed updates where we had already the part 1 of the Final HoH competition. I'm going to be going into what the competition was, which is normally endurance, but I'll go into what the competition was, how long it lasted, and who won, and setting up for the rest of the Final HoH competition. But let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Cody winning the power veto, holding all the power tonight, and getting to choose who he wants to take to the final 3 with him and Enzo between Nicole and Christmas. And I'm just gonna get right into it, ripping this next part off like a band-aid, where Big Brother was trying to do its thing for like 20 to 30 minutes, where it was trying to be like, hey, Cody could maybe take Christmas, you never know, the season's been so predictable, it could be unpredictable, somebody could want to make a move. That's false, that was never going to happen. Cody was 100% going to keep Nicole in this game as he feels it's better for his game. So he stood up and pointed at Christmas and said, you need to go, get out of this house. So he keeps Nicole, Christmas is out there, and I don't know what game or perception of the game that Christmas has, but she's sitting there talking to Julie Chen Moonves, saying how, oh, well, I had an argument against all 3. I played a really solid game. I was doing everything right. And it's like, girl, you need to just go to the jury house. You're thinking possibly maybe you're a threat. That's why you're sitting out here. No, it's just because you didn't have all the deals with Cody that the other 2 have, and he didn't win any of the competition. So, girl, go have fun with your game, go have fun in the jury house, and go hang out there for the next week as the final 3 is just wrapping up this game while you're away. Now, speaking of the jury house, let's move over there to see Memphis arrive, and a lot of people were actually shocked, it seemed. I mean, I don't know. I guess the perception once you're in the house is so much different than when you're watching it from home with the live feeds, but just because Memphis makes a giant alliance doesn't mean he's running things in the house. They're watching the video, they're going through everything, and we can see that the jury house is split right now. We have Devon saying that she's rooting for Enzo. We have Kevin, who seems to be rooting for Nicole or just anyone that's not Cody. And then Danny is full on Cody's #1 fan outside of the Calafiore family. And there seems to be a fight that happens, or a quarrel, a little bit, a verbal quarrel that happens within the house between Kevin and Danny, who are pretty much making and breaking down arguments for why Cody should win, why Nicole should win, and David can't get a word in edgewise, thinking, well, Nicole did this on her previous season. She laid back, she didn't do a whole lot, and then once the competition dwindled down, that's when she turned it up, and it seems as though that maybe Nicole's strategy or her gameplay is really turning some heads, and I think it's important to note that if you make it to the final 3, you did something right within the game, whether it's telling people what they wanted to hear, whether it was winning competitions, whether it was winning competitions late or making the right social relationships late in the game to warrant you to get to final 3 or final 2. And that's when you have the opportunity to win. It's just coming down to being able to tell your game to the jury that you didn't just fall or happen upon the final 2 or the final 3. So I think it's getting heated within the jury house, but it's really going to come down to their questions, going to come down to their deliberation, and coming down to how the final 2 is able to eloquently state their games. And that's just something we're gonna have to wait and see what's gonna happen as we move forward in the final 3 episodes of this season. It's been a long time coming, but we are almost there. And then the very final thing of this episode is that the final 3 with Enzo, Nicole, and Cody all get to see some messages from their loved one. Nicole gets to see her dogs and Victor. Enzo gets to see a message from his kids, and Cody gets to see a message from his girlfriend. Cody is like the only one that cries, which was actually surprising to me. But they get some messages from home, get some words of encouragement, some words to push forward through the final bit of this game, heading into part 1 of the Final HoH competition, which was played last night. But that is it for this episode. If you do not want to know what the Final HoH competition was or who won it, I am going to be talking about it right now, so turn off this video and just leave me a comment of what you thought about this episode and if Cody made the right decision by taking out Christmas instead of Nicole. But now I'm going into live feed updates, and part 1 of the HoH competition, or the Final HoH competition, of course, was endurance. And from what we can gather from context clues on the live feeds, it sounded like that they had to actually hold on to something, and then as they were being spun around, they were going to hit into a wall or something to make them spin, to make it a little bit more difficult. And Enzo said in the live feeds that the competition lasted 30 to 35 minutes. That was it, a half an hour, and it was over. Are you kidding me? I remember back in the day when endurance competitions lasted 6 to like 12 hours. Nowadays, they last an hour and a half to now 30 to 35 minutes. Enzo did not last long. It sounded like from the live feed updates. Cody said that he kept on hitting the wall and spinning a ton, which he knows that that is his weakness. He knew once seeing the competition, he was never going to win it. So it left Nicole winning it, and Cody seemed pretty heated on the live feed, saying that Nicole didn't really hit the wall too much, not as much as, say, him and Enzo, to where she was spinning out. She barely grazed the wall, and that was a way to help her win this first part of the HoH comp. And now it's going to come down to part 2, where it's going to be between Enzo and Cody, and Enzo is thinking that he has to win this thing because it really is 2 versus 1, but I'm sure Cody's fine with going to the final 2 with either one of these two, as long as he's in the final 2. But Enzo has an uphill battle to climb. Cody has been lights out on these competitions, while Enzo has been fizzling out over the course of the season. And now it's going to come down to a head-to-head matchup, and we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen. But I feel as though that Cody has a great shot of winning this part 2 of the Final HoH competition. It's going to come down to Nicole and Cody doing that whole A-B thing, and it's really going to hinder on whether Cody can pull this out, because if he doesn't, I feel as though that Nicole would take Cody and Enzo is going to be settled with 3rd place yet again. But if Cody somehow wins it, he's going to have a huge decision on his hand, and he's going to have to figure out what he wants to do or how he's going to play this out to see who's going to be sitting next to him in the final 2. He's mentioned in the diary room that his loyalties is what got him 2nd place in Big Brother 16. Could that happen to him again? I think it's always going to be in the back of his mind as these competitions roll forward and as the end moves closer. I think if he wants a surefire win, he takes Enzo. But if he wants to stick to his loyalties, I think he has a shot against Nicole, but I think he wins much more handedly if he's sitting next to Enzo, as I feel as though Enzo wouldn't be able to answer the jury's questions. That's just my opinion. I think he's not going to be able to answer it the way that they want to or show the intent behind his game, whereas Nicole's sitting there laying on the couch in the backyard already figuring out her like acceptance speech to the winner and seeing all the confetti falling on her. I get that you want to picture what you want to see at the end, but I feel as though that's just so far like into the future that you just need to calm down and play the rest of this game. But Nicole does win part 1 of the Final HoH competition, and Cody and Enzo, it's going to come down to them battling out in part 2 together to see who's going to be going up against Nicole in part 3 and possibly winning the Final HoH competition of the season. But that is it for this episode and this video. What do you think about everything that happened? Let me know that in the comment section below. What did you think about the jury house? What do you think they're leaning towards right now between the final 3? Let me know that in the comment section below. What do you think about Cody's decision to take out Christmas instead of Nicole? Let me know that in the comment section below. And who do you hope wins the Final HoH competition? Let me know that as well. Thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really soon with more Big Brother content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.